Looking to make some healthier habits this holiday season? Make sure to check out our Moving Through Midlife community over on Facebook, as we are doing a Planksgiving event where we are doing daily plank workouts. We will be doing an Advent for healthy, happy hips this holiday season, and then also have a sugar challenge, a 2-week sugar challenge that you might be interested in. Happy holidays! It is always my goal to help you and your family move more. So every Thursday, I am dropping a movement snack into your ears to help you and your family move more. Have you noticed that you deal with wrist pain or thumb pain? So this is our movement snack of the week, and I received a question from someone about how they notice as a mom that they are dealing with thumb and wrist pain. So it is often called mother's thumb. And this is going to be, and wrist pain is, if we're not talking carpal tunnel, if we're talking more like when you're going into plank and things like that, you're starting to deal with wrist pain, or hands and knee exercises, things like that. So there are a couple of things that you can do to help with those issues. The first thing that I always recommend people do is pay attention to your diet. So our body can deal with inflammation. And if you are eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugars, a lot of carbs, a lot of trans fats, everything you find in processed foods, sugars, that type of stuff, you are more likely to deal with inflammation. Also, if you are one who has specific allergies to food, which I'm not going to go into detail about that right now because I have a few things I want to say about that. But you might be inflamed due to some of the foods you're eating as well. So first thing I want you to do is start working on changing your diet. It doesn't mean you have to always get rid of. Let's focus on what we can do for what can we do instead. So let's start adding more fruits and vegetables into our diet. The more we add things into our diet, naturally those other things will be taken away. So that's where I would start with first. Also, make sure, especially you mamas, you new mamas, you're dealing with breastfeeding and all of that, make sure you are drinking plenty of water. If you are not drinking enough water, your fascia gets sticky. I spoke about this in one of the past episodes. I'm going to put it in the show notes for you because there definitely is information about your fascia and hydration. So go ahead and listen to that as well. But it gets sticky, and that creates aggravations or your tension spots. So make sure you are drinking plenty of water to keep all of those areas fluid and gliding over one another. So a movement snack would be in regard to dealing with like mother's thumb or wrist pain. So we need to work on strengthening the muscles in the hands, in the forearm, to help support what we are doing, especially for you newer moms who are having to carry your children when you may not have before. And you tend to torque your wrist in awkward angles to hold that baby while you're also trying to do other things. And that's where, you're putting yourself in a position where you haven't been in that position before and you're holding it for long periods of time. So what we're going to do, first exercise, is grab a rubber band And it can be even like a hair tie. I'm going to grab my hair tie right now, and I'm going to place it around between my two knuckles of each finger. So I'm going to place that around my fingers, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to close my fingers, and I'm going to open my fingers, and I'm going to close my fingers, and I'm going to open my fingers. So this is going to help work on strengthening my fingers, but also the muscles into my forearms as well. So that's a great one to work on, especially for mother's thumb. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to take your thumb and I want you to place it where you're kind of tapping over by your pinky, and then open your thumb out. So another thing that tends to happen, especially those of us, it's everybody, who are on their phones a lot, if you're using your thumb a lot to type, you may notice that it is very hard for you to straighten your hand all the way out. So that's another thing you need to do. You take your thumb, you draw it over to your pinky, and then you open it out, and it's like you're trying to create an L. And when you create the L, see if you can flatten that bottom of the hand out. For some of you, this is going to be really difficult because you've become very tight within that area of your palm. So work on that opening and stretching. And it's just like with any other stretches, you've got to practice it to help it work on lengthening. So it doesn't mean you've lost it forever. It's just something you have to work on. So that's the second. The third would be getting down on hands and knees and working through some basic movements where you are getting some stretching in your forearms. So I do have a video with all of this in it. So I'm going to put that in the show notes for you so you have some things that you can work on. And then the last thing that I would recommend is work on strengthening your forearms. So you could take a very lightweight. I usually recommend 1 to 2 pounds for forearms, and you can just work on keeping those arms at 90 degrees, and you're going to kind of tilt one, like your knuckle goes down and your knuckle goes up with the weight in your hand. And you can do like 10 of these. It's almost like wringing a towel, okay? So if you had a towel and you were to wring it out, and you can even practice with a towel, wringing out a towel, that is something like, if you think back to how people used to do things, this is one of those movement things where we don't do this anymore because we have our laundry, our washing machines and our dryers. But they used to do this. They used to have to wring out the water in their towels and their clothing, and they had strong forearms, and we've lost that movement pattern. So that's another thing that you can work on doing to help strengthen that forearm. And then you can do like reverse bicep curls and things like that, which will also help strengthen the forearm. But that is pretty much what you can do. All of those things are going to help work on strengthening, like I said, the forearm, the muscles surrounding the wrist, and the hands. So I hope this information helps answer the question that you provided me. If you have a question, make sure to email me, Courtney at formfitnaples.com. You can also email me at info@formfitonline.com. Find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram. I am happy to take down the information and then answer them on an upcoming movement snack. Again, as always, make sure to keep moving. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you could do me a favor, if you like what you hear, could you leave us a review or take a screenshot and share your favorite takeaway on social media? And make sure to tag us over at raising_healthy humans. Now go out and enjoy more movement throughout your day.